If you perform an act that you know will kill someone, then you're considered a murderer. What about those people who are denying others health care? Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Portland. Hey, Jonathan, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I'd like to talk about the issue of a public accountability for officials. And David Schaefer, who was the former U.S. ambassador of war crimes, was suggesting that we could broaden the application of public health malpractice to account for the administration of public health during pandemics. So in that case, public health malpractice might become a war crime against humanity for leaders who intentionally unleash an infectious disease on their citizens or foreigners, or possibly categorize it as an environmental crime, or if not murder, maybe a crime against humanity or involuntary manslaughter. But there has to be some accountability for public officials. And part of the problem could be under the rubric of what might be termed social murder, which was a phrase coined by Frederick Engels in the 19th century in Victorian England. And he's referring to conditions created by the privileged class, which inevitably lead to premature and unnatural death among the poorest classes. And that's really what's at the essence of this, because and of course the question is, what measurement should we use, right? Should we use the measurement of Taiwan and Vietnam, who don't have any deaths, or perhaps the measurement of excess deaths? I mean, what standard should they be judged by? But there has to be some accountability among public officials. And half the world's deaths now really are confined among 5 countries, the U.S. being one of them, England, Brazil, India, and the other country escapes me at the moment. But so that's
I would be guessing
my point.
Yeah, I think your point is well taken, Jonathan, and I love that definition of social murder.
By the way, I got this idea, frankly, from a recent editorial in the British Medical Journal, which was written by the executive editor, whose name is Kamran Abbasi. So that's where my idea comes from.
Cool. I think that there are laws on the books right now that could be used against the Donald Trump and members of the Trump administration, although the idea of sovereign immunity is a huge roadblock to that, and I'm not sure whether what you're talking about would pierce that. I think pretty much the only way to pierce sovereign immunity is to use internationally accepted norms or standards or crimes or whatever, like war crimes or crimes against humanity. And it certainly seems that Donald Trump could be charged with crimes against humanity and brought up on those charges in The Hague. We have 20% of the world's deaths, 25% of the world's cases. We are only 4% of the world's population. We have the worst cases. We have the worst rates of everything in the world because of what Donald Trump did, because of decisions that he made. And they were decisions that were not made in a vacuum, and he was advised against making those decisions. But he thought that he could hold off the pandemic until the election to prevent the pandemic from hurting him in the election, and he badly miscalculated. But I'm with you, Jonathan. I think that there needs to be some...
Let's keep in mind, too, that Paul Singer, the infamous hedge fund manager, issued a memo in beginning of February locking down all of his employees, and everyone was out of the market by then, so they knew. Yeah,
they absolutely knew. Well, in November of 2019, that's when the United States notified Israel that something was going on in China that could be contagious and it could infect the Middle East.